Next step, I know I didn't get the whole crank assembly and trans assembly videoed. I kind of just wanted to get it together. I was in a hurry the other night, didn't feel like making a video. But next step, put some Racetech titanium head studs in. That was the last thing that we did not have titanium on it. Everything else is. Got the whole lower end assembled. Just waiting on the shift shaft from Cam at Redline. So I got a new shift shaft and detent adjuster. But tonight we will get the head studs in, get the cylinders on, double check the port heights, and first step, we're gonna put some Loctite on these. Don't want to put too much red Loctite on the head studs. Just want enough to keep them in there and make them so they're removable in the future. Just a little bit goes a long way, especially red. I like red, just if you gotta get it out, put a little heat to it, it comes right out. So we'll get these put in, get them snugged down, got the base studs in, Loctited. The next step will be get the base gasket on, get the water plugs in the bottom of the cylinder, and then pistons, wrist pin bearings, everything put on, wrist pin clips, and then we'll start putting it together. After plating, it is always good to put your water plugs in, fill your water galley with water, and confirm that you have no water leaks internally. When these things are ported, it is crucial to make sure there's no pinholes. The porosity and pinholes from the acid bath they take, it definitely can erode enough to create water leaks. Sucks when you get it together and all of a sudden you have a water. After you have it plated, I like to use the ultrasonic cleaner. It cleans off all the diamond dust and everything from when they hone it. You want to get that crosshatch clean. I've seen many guys not, and it doesn't end well. So you want to clean the cylinder really good. I soak it in ultrasonic for at least a half hour. Then even after that, use some brake clean to clean it. Use some WD-40 to clean it. Then brake clean to clean it again, and then lube it with some assembly lube and oil. Definitely will make your motor last longer, make your ring seat better, and yeah. All right, guys. I always start with the inside wrist pin clip. That way, that's the hardest one to get to, so you can push the wrist pins in from the outside in on both sides. Then when you take your pistons off, you know what's left or right. If you ever got to remove the cylinder out in the races or whatnot. So I got the clips in, now I'm gonna rotate them. All right, I like to put a little two-cycle oil, basically super technoplate. You use assembly lube the wrist pin bearing good. That way you're not getting a dry start when you first start it. All right, next check is to check out the ring end gap. All right, we're getting ready to do ring end gap. Need 4 thousandths for every inch of bore, so we're looking right around 12,000 to 13 thousandths. Most likely it's going to be a little loose, especially on this big bore. So get them pressed in there. Should have saved a piston. Like take a piston. Press it down a little ways, a little bit above the exhaust port. Definitely a little over 12, and I like to go down just above the exhaust port. Right, 12. A little bit more. You want to make sure it's square in the bore and not crooked. That way you get an even reading. Looks good, a little loose. Rather be loose than too tight though. You want to check every ring. Alright, make sure the top is pointed up because these have to lay in on the pin. Just run your ring around. Pretty easy. Alright, one thing you do want to do when you put the cylinders on, you want to make sure the cylinders are lubed good. So I like to take either Castrol 927 or some Super Technoplate and coat the inside of the cylinder. That way it's not dry and there's good lube when you start the bike, and let alone it goes together easier. So we'll start by lathering up the cylinder pretty good. Don't be worried about putting too much. I don't think you can put too much. On the DMs, the cylinder studs come through the intake, so you got to make sure you put silicone under there. You don't want to suck air. It's pretty easy. If you don't get a good seal there, you will suck air and have air leak. I like to run a copper washer, silicone, copper washer, silicone, and never had a problem. Alright, we got the new shift shaft assembly. These are good to replace every so often. They get worn out, and then it doesn't want to shift. Another thing that's great, Cam at Redline sells, are the detent adjuster for the shift shaft, so you can make sure the shift paw is centered on the shift paw. And then we will go ahead and pull that roller off and put a ball bearing roller on there. It just distributes the load better on the shift star, so definitely beneficial there. Less wear, so it does. This is pretty skinny, so it'll start to wear on the shift star. You get grooves in there, and it just wears things out. Here's an older one with the ball bearing, but she's getting worn out. I like to run the OEM spring. That way, it's got as much pressure as possible, so it doesn't want to hit a hard bump or come out of a wheelie and then bounce into another gear. So we'll get that stuff going and be right back. Alright, we're replacing the old stock style detent adjuster for the shift paw, or shift shaft I should say. Alright, so what I'm talking about, the shift paw, you see you got the paw on your shift star. You want to make sure that the pins are centered on that, otherwise you'll get over engagement or not enough engagement when shifting. So you want to make. One thing I'm a little curious about is these titanium clutch basket washers. Definitely odd that they are grinding. That is weird. Huh. Alright, one thing you want to check when you put your basket on, you want to make sure that it spins freely. Any drag here can cause issues. Alright, one trick I like to do when I am torquing this to spec, I will slip a couple pennies right in between here. It'll hold the primaries together, so you can verify that's torqued to spec. It's soft copper, it doesn't hurt the gears, you don't risk chipping them, it tends to work out. 45 foot-pounds is what that should be torqued to. Next step is we're going to put our clutch fibers in, let them soak in ATF. I like ATF Type F. It's cheap, you can find it almost anywhere, affordable, and it works good. So one little tech tip I think is beneficial is when you're running titanium bolts for your lockout hold down bolts. All 6 of them I like to put a little Loctite. The titanium tends to never hold the same torque pressure, so you tighten and because they stretch a little and flex. I like to put a little Loctite so we know they're not going to come back out. So it's just something I do. Alright, we're going to replace the reed pedals. These ones are still good, but they're pretty well worn. They got a nice edge around them. They seal good, but yeah, it's time to replace them. It's got 2 seasons on them, many hours. So anyways, you just take your tool that comes with your reed pedals, stick it in between the stopper and the reed cage, push in, which unlocks the clips here, and then it pushes in. You do that on both sides, unlocks the locks that hold it in, and you pull your cage out, boom, that easy. Then we'll take all our pedals off, replace them, and then there is a pin in the center right here that you got to push out. You pull that out, and then you get your center reeds in. That's what locks the center pedals in place. So, there we go. There's one on each side. So let's see here. There we go. Boom. Just like that. Pull your pedals off. One thing I did want to mention. Guys freak out. They hold it up to light. They see a little bit of light around there. It's fine. They'll wear in. I mean, they move so fast that it'll be fine. after a few rides, they tend to wear themselves in around the cage, so they seal better. So ultimately, as long as they're genuine. Just one thing, I like to silicone all the layers of the intake gaskets. Had too many air leaks. I don't chance it, so I put a thin layer of silicone around these and the intake boots and in between each layer of the gasket. That way I never have to worry about it. Fighting an air leak is very frustrating, especially when you're out in the middle of a race. So, something to think about. Alright, one thing I like to do, been doing it for years, my brother showed me this a long time ago, is I'll put a little red Loctite inside here, just a nice thin coat, so when it seats onto the crank, whether it's lapped or not, it creates a cushion for the harmonics, and it also keeps the flywheel fixed. It doesn't vibrate, so never had any crank issues, no harmonic issues, no loose cranks, come and loose, or loose flywheels. Definitely been great. So add a little bit in here, just drop a couple good drops in there and lather it around like a thin layer, and it works like a little cushion and it keeps the flywheel locked on. Now, yes, when you try to get the red Loctite off, it's gonna be tight, but if you just warm the crank up with a torch a little bit, it just pops right loose. So you'll have no issues getting it off with just a little bit of heat. Yep, we're good. Alright, I like to set the air gap to 18 to 20 thousandths. Right in there will be fine. Alright, another trick. These O-rings can be a bitch, so I like to put a little bit of grease in the O-ring groove on the cylinder O-ring, the dome O-rings. It just makes it so much easier than trying to get it to stay in place. I do like the one-piece heads. Two-piece heads are a pain in the ass. That's why I run the cast heads on my Super Cub and my DM. I like red. Alright, we're gonna check squish. Need some thick solder. Always do the sides, not the exhaust and the intake side, because the piston will rock and give you an inaccurate reading of your squish. Hook an L like that, stick it down the cylinder, turn the cylinder over till it squishes it, pull it out, read it. So, let's see what we got. I like between 55 and 50 thousandths. I believe I run this one a little looser. It is a big motor, so things do flex. So you're better to be a little loose than too tight. $56, close enough. Which tape?